Hey!
Hey.
Look who's here! Welcome, baby! Coming on as Jill from Charity Tea. So, Jill, before
Yes.
we even go anywhere any further, what is the song that lights your fire? Come on.
The song is Alicia Keys' Girl on Fire.
Oh, I've got it literally right here on pause. Let's go.
She's just a girl and
She's on fire. Come on, sing it. Hotter than a fantasy.
lonely like a highway.
Way.
She's living in a world and it's on
Fire. Let's go.
filled with catastrophe. But she knows she can fly away.
Underground,
And she's
burning it down. This girl is on fire. So good to have you as part of
Thank you.
our carpool honcho,
Hilarious.
and you know, to be interviewing you and finding out what makes you tick. What?
Wow.
So tell us, who are you?
I'm Jill. I am a mum to 3 kids and I run a business called Charity Tea.
Yes.
And it's a social enterprise business, and so we sell ethically sourced organic tea. And every packet of tea that we sell, we feed a child in Haiti in our feeding programs,
Wow.
or a child in New Zealand gets a school lunch. So we care about people.
Say that again.
A child in New Zealand gets a school lunch,
Or
we feed a child in our feeding programs in Haiti.
that is
Wow,
cool.
that is incredible.
Yeah.
So where does this passion come from? Where does the passion to serve people in this way?
I remember when I was a kid and I saw little kids on the TV. I don't know if you remember the children of Rwanda, and they got displaced and there was all this starvation going on. I remember being a child and just seeing these kids walk across the screen. And I just thought, oh, that's not okay with me. And I think that's where the seed was planted, you know, this kind of strong sense of justice.
Yeah.
And I've had a career in social work and youth justice, and so, you know, I feel like I'm just secretly Supergirl and I want to change the world and make it a bit better. So
Wow.
yeah.
Do you feel like that over the course of life, you know, sometimes we get knocks, we get hard times hit us, circumstances happen and so on. Do you feel like those seasons, those difficulties lead to where you are now?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, we can't always choose what happens to us, but we can choose our response.
Wow.
And so you have a choice to let these, you know, situations in life make you or break you.
Yeah, wow.
And I think that's one of my biggest lessons, is learning to just choose your response. That's the one thing that you can control.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
Everyone's got a dream, people have got goals, ambitions and so on. But you know, I think that one of the things that obviously defines someone who becomes successful, and however you deem success, is someone's got to take a step out. You've actually eventually at some point, right, you've got to put a foot out and do something.
Yeah.
And so do you want to take us through that? Like, what was that moment for you when you knew I need to put my foot out and make this a reality?
Make Charity Tea happen.
Yeah, sure. So I think I tell people that you become a change maker when you see a problem and you decide to make it your problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Say that again, mate, because that was
Say that
gold.
again. So I think we become change makers when we see a problem and we take responsibility for it and we make it our problem.
Sheesh.
So at the end of 2016, I received a text message from a friend of a friend, and with a photograph of a baby. And she said, Jill, this baby's dying of starvation. I have no money. Can you feed it? And so, you know, I'm like most people, you live week to week, and I thought, I can't say no to this. And so I found the money. You know, if your car breaks down, you find the money.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
rejuggle things to
Sure.
make sure that you survive. And so I found the money and I just rejiggled some things to pay for this one child. Within 3 days, there were 6 more children. Within 10 days, you know, there was a hurricane that hit. So I literally said yes to one, and then from there grew a charity, started
Wow.
responding to a crisis. So I guess you could say I took that problem and made it mine, and now I'm addressing the issue of world hunger by accident.
How many kids are you impacting now through?
So I think we've provided about 10,000 meals to date, and so
Wow.
we have up to 50 children that we're feeding in Haiti. We provide meals 3 times a week, and then we partner with different charities in New Zealand that are providing school lunches all across New Zealand. Yep.
That can't be easy. I mean, you know, so you're trying to start a business and a charity.
Yeah.
You're trying to feed everybody else, and you're also trying to kind of feed your own family. Like,
Yeah.
how do you reconcile that?
That's a really, really tough question. So I think when I first started the charity, I felt like I'm finally doing the thing I'm born to do. Then I realised I was going to beg for money my whole life, and so I started a business as a funding funnel to help fund the impact that I wanted to make. So that took some different skills. And I think when I first started Charity Tea, I took a lot of pride in the fact that I was a volunteer and I wasn't taking a salary, and all the money was going straight to the children, until I found myself in a situation where my marriage broke down and I found myself in work and income, saying I feed 600 kids a month and I can't feed my own. And the lowest point for me was when I ended up going to the Salvation Army asking for a food hamper and Christmas gifts for my kids. So I realized that I have all these values around sustainability for my business and my charity and helping people out there, and I wasn't helping myself at home. So Mother Teresa has this quote, and she said, we can be so busy eradicating poverty out there, we don't realize we're creating it in our own home.
Yeah.
And so that really stuck with me. So my goals have definitely been to make it more sustainable, and to make sure that I'm taking care of my own family as well as everyone else's.
What do you think about balance? You're out there changing the world.
Yeah.
Balance, does it exist?
Idealistically, I think it does. I have this little phrase that I learned a few years ago, and it's just a little check-in that I do with myself, and it goes inward, outward, upward. So inwardly, I check with myself, how am I doing? How am I feeding my soul? Am I taking care of my health? Do I have times where I have some downtime? Things like I do just dance around the house, or beach walks, or learn the violin. So inwardly, how am I doing? And then outwardly, how am I connecting with my family or my friends or my community?
Yeah.
And then upward is my faith or my connection with my sense of purpose.
Right.
And so it's really good for me just to take some time and go, is anything out of sync? Inward, outward, upward.
Sure.
What's missing, and where do I need to focus some attention? So I don't think I'm doing it very well. I feel like I juggle plates a lot of the time.
Sure.
But yeah, I do have some checks in place to.
Yeah. I love that idea. I heard a guy by the name of Pedro Adao, and he said, he said a few months ago, he said, the definition or the word of purpose can be so big, right? When you talk, if you ever ask anybody, hey, do you think you're living out your purpose, or do you think that you're doing, your life's call? And he said, it really used to get to him, and he said, I rather think about things by way of assignment.
Yeah.
What is my assignment at the moment versus this big lifelong purpose? What is my assignment? So what do you think about that? Do you feel like you're on assignment for a season, or do you feel purposed? It could be both, but what do you sort of think about that?
I think if I think about I'm on assignment, then I think that I've been given something from someone else. So I guess it gives me a sense of I'm not the boss, someone else is. So I've been given a job, and it is my job to finish. So yeah, I would definitely say I feel like I'm on assignment.
Yeah.
But within that, I have a purpose statement, which would be zero hunger, or feeding you today and growing you tomorrow.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely feel, the way that my charity started, and the way I literally had a dream about my business. I had a dream that I started a tea company, and in my dream I saw it work. So when I woke up, I was like, I'm going to do this.
Wow.
So in that sense, I feel like it's been given to me as an assignment.
Yeah.
And then it's, it doesn't just stop there. You have to apply what you know, and you have to upskill, and you have to learn. And so I got given an assignment or a dream, start a tea company to provide funding for a charity. But then I had to learn how to do marketing and sales and design packaging and all of those things. So
let's talk about that. Let's talk about sales. Going through COVID-19. So to have to reshuffle how we do business, how have you been doing business, and what would be your sort of number one sales tip?
Probably the biggest thing for me would be build relationships. I think there's just something about having authenticity in business, and also doing what you say you're going to do. So I have this just a personal integrity thing, that if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I can't cancel. You know, I have to show up, I have to be there, I have to deliver, even if I get a better offer.
Sure.
So relationships and authenticity, I think I'm known for that.
So you're a woman of your word.
I hope so.
That's
Certainly my plan.
Yeah, huge. What about marketing? So marketing or brand awareness and so on.
Yeah.
How are you doing that in this season?
I've definitely had a few coaches. I think it's wise to get wisdom from other people with better skills than you. So I've definitely got coaches on board. I'm working with a marketing specialist and just looking at making sure that I'm communicating the messages that I need to my target audience. So I would recommend to people watching, find out who your customer is. It's not everyone. So define your customer, think about what problems they have, think about what are they worrying about, and how your product or how your service can help them. So things with sales and marketing, it's not just about selling things, it's about solving problems.
Right.
So just marketing is really getting clear on what are the problems you're trying to solve and who are the people that have them.
What have been some of the strategies that you've had, or one strategy you've had in place to kind of get back up and going again, right? Kind of COVID just put this big pause button on so many of us, and you've got to sort of come back with full steam to kind of get momentum back up to where it was. What's one of the things that you're doing to make that happen?
I think there's definitely been an emphasis this year on health, taking care of your mental health, connecting with things like walking and eating well. And also I think actually being at the Crate has been a big catalyst. So having a family of people, teams of people around you, that you're all going through the same things, and just being able to encourage each other. You don't get very far alone.
So you're doing it together, right?
Doing it together and just constantly focusing on building your community.
Isn't it so good actually? You're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in that context, when you're in that environment, I think it can only foster success, right? If you're when you're with sort of inspiring people, or even when you're around people. I remember, a couple of months ago, me and my family went through a difficult moment, but you know what? We were in an environment that fostered understanding, that fostered, hey, we're with you, that said, but you know what, we're also going to level up in this experience as well. And I think, isn't it cool to be a part of, for me as well, being part of the Crate, where you're part of a community that says, hey, look, when someone goes down, we all go down, but we're going to pick up that person together. And I think that, how cool is that? I think it's necessary, right?
Really necessary,
So what's the future of Wedgie from here? So we're going into 2021.
Yeah.
What do you see for next year and moving forward?
Great question. So we've had to pivot our marketing strategy a little bit because we focus so much on wholesale orders.
Sure.
And we're finding a lot of the bigger companies are just delaying those decisions. So we're focusing on more direct-to-customer subscription tea plans now as a strategy. But I think the biggest thing, like I said, I started with is just building relationships, keep those doors of communication open, keep being authentic to the brand, running a business that has values, and just keep living those out. I think that consistency will stand the test of time.
So good. I think we've got one of your teas here. Can we have a quick squiz at that?
Oh yeah, so this is the corporate packaging.
You better hold that because I'm driving, okay?
For staff rooms and cafes and things like that. So our retail range is smaller.
And we stock this at the Crate, and we're actually all right now enjoying a beautiful tea. That's the charity tea. And it's beautiful tea. You can order it where?
You can order it online, charitytea.co.nz.
So cool.
Yeah.
Jill, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us in the car. Carpool Honcho, a new initiative of the Crate, and said we're just so proud and thankful to have you in our community, in our family, and here's to a very, very successful and end to 2020 and bring on 21. And we just want to also say special thanks to Toyota for the use of the Highlander that we're driving today,
Beautiful
and
car.
their small business driver program. So really, really cool.